Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry you're going to have to suffer through me for another 30 minutes before we get to drink beer at the Oktoberfest celebration. My name is Andrew Krug de Medina. I'm going to be presenting a whole lot of fun stuff I've learned over the years, titled Selenium Hacks. Down here is slides.com, Andrew Krug, selenium-hacks/live. You can follow along on your mobile devices. How cool is that? And you're going to want to probably follow along with your mobile device, as you'll soon find out why. So I am the lazy coder at lazycoder.io. It's very fitting for us as automation engineers. So why am I actually standing up here? And it's because I've been doing Selenium for my entire career, for better or for worse. Probably for the worse, if you know me. I enjoy doing a lot of cool things with Selenium and automation, like filling in my timesheets, sending out emails. I've automated all that just because I could. That also falls under the actual stupid things I've done with Selenium. This is not plagiarized, but this is a heavily modified version of Dave Heffner's Selenium tips and tricks, which he used to present a few years back. Does everybody here know Dave? Just raise your hands if you know Dave. Okay, if you didn't raise your hands, check him out. He's a really cool guy. He runs the Elemental Selenium blog, and he also has the Selenium guidebook out, which you can buy in like all the main languages. So Selenium, I see it as it's a sent from the future from Simon. Thanks, Simon. You made our life hell, and you pay our bills. But it is a tool, and it shouldn't be the only tool in your toolbox as an automation engineer. And it's one more of those like multi-use tools, you know, not just like a screwdriver or anything. It's not a hammer. It's one of those multi-function tools that you can switch the heads out and have it like oscillator or saw. So how do you fill out your toolbox? And that's what we're going to answer in this presentation. And that's why you're actually all are here. You're here to fill out your toolbox with more Selenium stuff. So I have a few ground rules. I want at least one person to learn one thing in my entire presentation. However, I want to make it would be better if everybody here learned at least one thing. I set the bar low. Just one thing. That's all I care about. So every time you learn something new, I want you to raise your hands. Okay, this is like, you know, interactive portion. Get you all excited and get you energized to drink beer and try and stay awake after the fact for whatever else you guys decide to do tonight. So we got that? Everyone's going to raise their hands when you learn something new? Sounds good? You guys sound like you need a whole lot more coffee. However, we don't have time for that. Last I counted, there's like 130 slides right now. So, because of that, I will be going fast. Cool? Good. I'm going to be going really fast. All right? So, instead of trying to write down everything you can possibly learn, don't worry, all these slides are publicly available now. So you either can write down the page numbers, which is very dainty in the corner. That's really dainty, 5.5. Or you can watch it again at the YouTube when it actually gets posted there. So let's jump into it. Come on now, go to the next slide. Whoa. Okay. I went really fast, right? Come on now, just one time. I'm not going to cover some topics, okay, because Selenium is a whole big world. So I'm not going to be talking about Appium, which allows you to test on mobile devices, iOS and Android. I am not going to be talking about the MATLAB run by, it's an open source project by Anand, which does a whole bunch of stuff on maintenance on your mobile devices. If you've ever maintained a mobile device lab, you'll understand all the pains that go along with it. You can ask me later with a drink in your hand to offer to me, and I will tell you horror stories on that. I will not be talking about the Facebook simulator control, which broke the one simulator rule per Mac, which, of course, Mac just did it their own this year. Which, if you run 2 iPhones on one computer, obviously you're going to run twice as fast, and you have half as many Macs as you have to buy. Because let's be honest, they're quite expensive, but they're pretty. We all know they're pretty. I'm now going to be talking about the SWD recorder, which allows you to quickly essentially automating creating your page objects with a nice little GUI. I kind of just killed everything there. Oh, don't tell me this is happening again. This is happening again. Okay, I got to go faster. Nope. Next one. Docker Selenium. I'm now going to talk about running Selenium nodes and grid hubs on Docker, which makes it containerized, which means you have faster startup periods, and you can run a ton of them on AWS for cheap. I am not going to be talking about the Selenium Grid scaler, which allows you to run your own Selenium Grid on AWS and have it automatically spin up EC2 nodes. I am also not going to talk about the Selenium Grid Extras, which is a nice, pretty wrapper around the Selenium Grid servers, which hub and nodes. Allows you to modify the URL to do maintenance tasks like update all the web drivers, update to new versions, restart the computer, and it'll automatically log in for you. I'm not talking about any of that. Got it? Does anybody see what I already did? I covered like 5 topics already, and like 2 hands went up. That means you're not raising your hands when you learn something, unless everybody here already knew that, or you're just yanking my chain. So, the topics that we will be covering, we're going to talk about headless, we're going to talk about visual testing, we're going to talk about proxy servers, we're going to be talking about performance testing, security testing, load testing, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go over it all because let's just jump into it. But there's also going to be bonuses. Bonuses will be sprinkled everywhere because sprinkles are for winners, and since you all are here, this is going to go backwards on me. You're all winners because you came to this conference and you get to experience this live. Or, in the replay online. So talking about headless. We're not talking about the headless horseman. And we're not talking about the horseless headsman, which was a little short ad that played in the US. It is essentially a no GUI way to run a browser. And it allows you to manipulate the entire DOM. Benefits are it's a lot faster, especially from loading your processor speeds, and you can still get screenshots from it. The counterpoints for using headless browsers is that it's not a real user that's actually interacting with your site. My historical use case was clicking on ads and logging into a site and making sure that it actually showed up with the right hash URLs and such. I had to go through the UI, but I don't really care what's actually being shown. Those are the only reasons why I used headless testing. But it's essentially for not the core part of the test, but just had to go through it. But what are your options for headless testing? Let's jump into them. XVFB, PhantomJS, and Chromeless. XVFB, since I can't say that 5 times fast, is the X virtual frame buffer because they're genius with acronyms. It's an in-memory display server, which essentially allows you to run GUI applications on a virtual display. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a fake monitor, essentially. So option 1, you can start it up on a port in your terminal. Tell the terminal that you're going to use this port for the next command, and then type in the next command. This one's Ruby example 1, whatever. Option 2 is to use XVFB run, which essentially does all those same steps in one line. How cool is that? Cool. All right. Next up is PhantomJS, which is, nope, let's go back one. There we go. PhantomJS.org is not limited by OS. The virtual frame buffer is limited to Linux machines. Option 1 for PhantomJS is to add it to your path. Use it exactly like if you have Chrome driver installed on your path. Option 2 is to start it up with a WebDriver flag, which if you want to control how many sessions are actually running, you can reuse these sessions over and over again if you wanted to. Option 3, because I'm just giving you tons of options today, is to pass it in exactly like you would like Chrome driver, and you pass in the executable into the system code. Cool, right? Everybody learned one thing? Where I'm done? Okay, let's go. Vitaly Slobodin, whatever. I'm sorry if I massacred your name, which I did, is the sole maintainer of Phantom.js, and he stepped down as the maintainer in April because of the Chromeless and, well, essentially headless Chrome project that was released by Google, because Google likes to go faster all the time. They also wanted to bring their Blink rendering engine to the CLI. Everybody here knows what rendering engines are? You should definitely look into that. Your entire job is based on rendering engines. It's enabled in Chrome version 59 for Linux and Macs, Chrome version 60 for Windows. This allows you to run a Chromeless remotely too. This is like the Java code that they have on their site. If you want to learn more, go to my website. I'm going to be doing an in-depth presentation on this next week. I can't give you all of the details, and hashtag shameless plug on me. Next up is visual testing. Has anybody here ever done visual testing? Yes, no, maybe so. Cool. It is a fun and joy. It is doable yourself if you use other people's projects and not build it yourself. But it's highly complex if you decide to build it all yourself. The benefits is that you literally get thousands of assertions in like 2-3 lines of code on just one picture comparison, one page. But there are a couple issues along with it. Only use it if it's actually going to make sense, because that adds time and complexity to your tests. If you're not using it for visual testing, you're just wasting everybody's time. My go-to reason on why I do random things is because I can, I shall. That's not the whole reason to just jump straight into visual testing. Cool? Sound good? Moving on. Let's do this. I want to get to beer. We're in Germany. HTTP status code. Now, this is a preview of an answer you'll get from any of the contributors if you ask them about it. However, this is the rated preview available for all audiences. Just no. We're just going to... That's the only word I'm allowed to say out of the whole tirade is no, from every Selenium contributor ever. But if you still want to, all right, let's do it. It's a browser mod proxy. The browser mod proxy sits between your browser and the internet, and particularly with the browser mod proxy, you control it all through your code. So your code starts up the test, or starts up the proxy, starts up your test, goes through the proxy, and you have access to everything. What do we mean everything? Blacklisting, bad image checking, performance testing, sort of, and load testing, sort of. But we can do it all. Anybody want to know more? I guess I'll go into it. How are you going to use it? You're going to use it by using a browser profile in Firefox or Chrome. Else you can use the Java jar if you want to use other languages and bindings. Blacklisting. Does anybody here have really bad, slow JavaScript they have to run on your site for no real reason, but you have to run it? Yeah, it's a pain. It slows down all your tests. Nobody really wants to sit there for it. You can blacklist those, and it'll automatically return a 404 error. That's especially good for scripts that you don't care about running. Like if you have ads on your page, you can just kill the ads from ever showing up. So it'll make all your tests a whole lot faster. Broken image checking. Does anybody care about images on their site? It's kind of, sort of. They can do it a few different ways. You can do it via proxy, and I completely forgot to remove that dot. You do it through the proxy by getting the entire har log, which is all the network requests that occur during your test. Then for each, make sure they actually load up. I jumped ahead too far there. You can also do it via HTTP library, which is built into all the programming languages. Get all the different sources, ping them, and make sure the response codes are all 200. You can also validate the size of the request and the type of the request. And let's continue. You can also do it via JavaScript. How cool is that? Selenium has one command that allows you to run arbitrary JavaScript code inside of your test. This little JavaScript code will validate that the image has a width, more than 0, which means that something exists at the very least. Obviously, if you know more particulars, you can make it more specific. Performance testing. Has anybody ever jumped into performance testing? Cool, everyone was a fool like me. Yes, you can do it sort of with Selenium. You can validate page load times or under any service level agreements that you have. You can also find slow loading resources as well if you go through all the har logs. I personally like to send all of my stats to a dashboard and then view it there. And then I got really bored for a few months, and I actually put in machine learning into it. I have a whole presentation on it. It'll be on my site shortly again. And it's also on my GitHub as well. And that's machine learning to find anomalies automatically. So if suddenly your login page is taking twice as long to load, it'll notify you automatically. You don't have to actually look into the performance tests. Cool. Anybody want to continue? I don't care. I'm going anyways. Load testing, yes, you can kind of sort of do it. There's a few different ways. You can convert your har log into a JMX file. Go to flood.io, har to JMX, and it will convert your entire log into a JMX file. Has anybody had the fun, pleasure, and enjoyment of creating their own JMX file from scratch? I feel sorry for you. I was never brave enough to do it. There's also GetTaurus, which is a performance testing tool, and it can read in Selenium scripts and execute it as a load test in JMeter. Cool. And we're halfway through. At halfway through the time. We're on track. Slide. There we go. Has anybody had to ever test this? How many people enjoyed it? Yeah, nobody likes it. Do you want to make it easier on yourselves? Maybe. Maybe. Okay. Well, there's a few different options. You can actually use Gmail and go through their OAuth API to access your emails. However, it does say explicitly you can't use it for this. So the other options is to use like Mailstore or Mailtrap.io. They both give you a virtual mailbox that you can use. You send it to there, and then they have APIs to access it. Cool, right? Maybe. You want to see some code? That'll be better? Darn, I got code. So there we have it. Create a new mailbox. Get all the emails by a specific recipient. If you notice up there, it says anything.yourkey. You can put in anything and anything, and you can essentially filter on your own email. So you have like one email box, and you can sort it through, like, you know, you're getting your mail, and like your parents getting their mail in the same mailbox, and your brothers or your sisters or your children are getting the mail all in the same mailbox, same deal. And you can filter on it, and then from the emails you can get the subject line, you can get recipients, you can get content size, you can get links inside of it, so you can actually get the link from inside the email to then essentially simulate the click. Cool. What was that? Yeah, it sends it to the provider, and you get it from Mailstore or Mailtrap, and it has it all, and you can also view it as well if you wanted to. Cool. We want to do more? Anybody looked into security testing? Has anybody ever been told, don't security test our site because you're going to break it? I did. That was a great answer. No, Andrew, don't do anything. You're going to break it all. Awesome. So, yes, we can actually do security testing with Selenium. It's called the OWASP Z-Attacks Proxy, also called ZAP Proxy. I don't know why we use proxy twice in that version of the name, but whatever. You can run a Selenium test while it's having its own recorder running. It then essentially records all the different pages you go to, and then it will respin up those pages. If you need authentication, you can pass an authentication as well, and it will take that page and try out as many attack combinations as you want on it. I did it on my previous company's site. It took about 8 hours to run, but it found like 153 vulnerabilities. It was cool. So yes. But that's another step you have to do to actually run that separately. Anybody a fan of doing stuff manually? Few people like to do stuff manually? Okay. I guess I'm weird. I'm a bum. And there's also a Jenkins plugin for it. So I built it into the continuous integration server, therefore it just happens magically. And then, management gets emails with, by the way, there's 53 more security holes. Yay! A/B testing. Anybody ever done A/B testing? I'm sorry in advance. You want to know how to do it, though? Let's do it. Option A in A/B testing, because I like to pull jokes on you guys. You can do forge the cookie on the WebDriver, driver.manage, add cookie, specify whatever cookie you need to switch between the control or the alternative page, so you can actually get whichever version of you want. Option B in A/B testing, get it? Really? Really? That's okay. Just add another parameter to the URL. It's the same thing as it would be if you were looking at it through the web browser, but you don't have to modify cookies. So this is easier if you're doing manual testing, and this one is vastly easier when using WebDriver. I'm already up to file handling? Oh my God, we're up to file handling. Does anybody like file handling with Selenium? You guys like it? I thought I was weird. I am still probably weird, but I don't enjoy file handling. But we can still do it. Some of the knee-jerk reactions, if you have to handle the uploading or downloading, is to switch to using AutoIt for Windows or AppleScript for Macs to handle modifying the applications and clicking on the buttons for you. It takes over your OS, and if that fails, there's no real clean exit back into your tests. So it just kind of crashes, and you have to manually debug it and everything. I don't like doing manual debugging. I'd rather just have the log tell me, yeah, it went bad. So instead, the easier way is to just send a file path to the input, which I don't have the code up here for. Fantastic. I will update this slide with the actual code on how you would do that. You can automatically get a file from your directory, turn it into a string, pass the string into the input box, click submit, and then it will automatically load your file up for you. Downloading files. You can specify the browser profile for either Chrome or Firefox to automatically download specific file types and to specific locations, and that's what you would do to download it. Once you have the URL that you're downloading, you then use the HTTP library that's built into all your programming languages and validate the content length and the content type, and voila, you've successfully made sure that you've downloaded the right file. Did I make anybody's life easier? Maybe. Okay. Next up, we have highlighting elements. Why would you ever want to do this? It's simple. For automatic reporting or logging, you can have pretty screenshots with exactly what button you're about to click. I've always found that project managers like pretty reports with pretty pictures in it. So I make sure my reports are always littered with them because they want to see it. They shall have it. To highlight an element, you're going to use the exact same thing as you would, as I talked about earlier. You can execute JavaScript into the browser. These two lines of code up here, the first one will turn it red, it will save the current styling of the element. It will then turn it red, and then it will turn it back when it's done after the screenshot is taken. Growl notifications. Does anybody here know what growl is by any chance? Awesome. Growl notifications is a little custom notifications for you. You can build it into your test to automatically populate little pop-up windows with oh, we're doing this step, we're logging in with this user, we're logging in with this password. I find it really useful if I'm running a really long test. One of my really long tests was inputting a large set of data into a system. I had like 500 CSV files that I had to load into a system. I'm like, I don't get paid enough to type this all in. This is going into a Python script to do this. But yeah, I wanted to make sure which one we were on through the sets to make sure it's progressing along correctly. So that's what I used it for. Their options are you can use JavaScript and load jQuery onto your page, load up growl.js and tell Growl to load it up. I don't find that quite useful. I find the pure Growl, which allows you to forward your notifications to other machines, a whole lot better. Why? So when I was inputting those very large data sets into the system, I might have been sitting in front of my computer playing video games with my phone next to me and just notifying me which one it's on. But it was a very nice way to get statuses. I also had Jenkins pump it to Growl so I can automatically get my Jenkins build notifications on my watch. Because why not? Because I can, I shall. This is some Python code on how you would set up the Growl notifier. You first have to register an application, and then you can send a specific message. You can send images along with it. If you know a specific error message means a lot of stuff's going to go bad, you can actually have your system identify that image for you and then tell you, by the way, everything's about to blow up. That's a good example for that. Mobile device emulation. Anybody had fun with emulators? It's so much fun, isn't it? Without an emulator. Has anybody done mobile device emulation without an emulator? Some people are like, you can't, those don't work together. You can't do an emulator without an emulator. But you can. When you go to Chrome, you click on the Dev Tools, you click on that little button up there in the top left-hand corner. It looks like that. Reload the page, and then voila, you get the nice mobile rendered version of it. Up at the very top of the screen, you can see that it says Nexus 5X. That's the type of device it's rendering on. But hey now, that's a manual step, Andrew. That's the wrong conference. That is true. So I guess I'm just going to go now. But I can do some magic and actually do all of those same actions inside of code, and then I can automatically render it as different mobile devices. I can do Nexuses, you can do iPhones, all that fun jazz from your desktop, which essentially makes you have unlimited browsers, mobile devices at your one computer. Did I redeem myself just a little bit? Just a little bit? Okay. I'm glad. I only aim for a little bit. So, no, I want to go the other way. Training the Terminator. We can do this too with Selenium. More specifically, it was something that, I'm not the Terminator director, but we can still go and train it. More specifically, it was Jason Huggins, who really likes robots. He built a robot. He's also the CEO of, or was, I'm not entirely sure what the status is, but he started up Sauce Labs. And then he really liked robots, and he built a robot. And he decided to train it and make it play music. Anybody want to see a robot playing music because of Selenium's technology? I guess I'll appease you. Do we have audio? What? Oh, wait, hold on. I know what I did wrong. There's like 5 YouTube windows right now open. I got a minute still. We got enough time for the music to play. Everybody can sort of hear it. Yeah. It's better than I can play it. Go with that. But yeah, that's Selenium running underneath it. Does anyone have any questions? You got like one question. Just one. Nope. Cool. You can follow me at lazycoder.io, my website, or at lazycoder.io.